My grandmother passed away 2 months ago. She was my favorite person in the world, the woman who taught me how to bake cookies, how to plant flowers, and how to love without expecting anything in return. But I never had the chance to say goodbye. She was gone before I could hold her hand one last time. So now, I'm here, in her old house, going through her things. Boxes, old clothes, faded photographs, broken jewelry. Everything smells like lavender and dust and memories that I can almost touch. I've been here for 3 hours, and my knees are sore from kneeling on the wooden floor. The attic is hot and stuffy, and the only light comes from a small round window that hasn't been cleaned in decades. I'm about to give up when I notice a small wooden box hidden under a pile of old curtains and moth-eaten blankets. It's carved with flowers, roses, I think, and the wood is dark and polished. It looks like something precious. I pull it out carefully, blowing off the thick layer of dust that covers the top. My hands are dirty now, but I don't care. There's something about this box that makes my heart beat a little faster. I open the lid slowly, and inside I find letters. Dozens of them, tied with a red ribbon that has faded to a pale pink over time. The paper is yellow and fragile, like dried leaves in autumn. I untie the ribbon carefully, as if I'm touching something sacred, something that was never meant to be found. The first letter is addressed to a man named Thomas. The date on the envelope says July 1944. I sit on the floor, surrounded by dust and silence, and I begin to read. My dear Thomas, I don't know if this letter will ever reach you. The war has taken you far away to a place I cannot even pronounce, and I have no address to send this to. But I need to tell you something I should have said before you left. I love you. I have always loved you, from the very first moment I saw you standing at the train station in your uniform. Every morning I wake up and look at the window, hoping to see you walking down the street, carrying a flower for me. But you're not there, and I don't know if you'll ever come back. If you're reading this, please know that my heart has been yours since the day we met at the town fair. You gave me a flower, do you remember? A simple yellow sunflower. I still have it, pressed between the pages of my Bible. It's dry and brown now, but I still keep it. I will wait for you, Thomas. I will wait forever if I have to. Yours always, Eleanor. I stop reading. My hands are shaking so much that the paper trembles. Eleanor. That was my grandmother's name, Eleanor Margaret Sullivan. But she never told me about Thomas, not once. She never mentioned a soldier, a war, a love letter, or a yellow sunflower. In fact, my grandfather was a man named Richard, a quiet accountant who wore glasses and read newspapers in his armchair. They were married for 50 years. They had 3 children, 7 grandchildren, and a quiet life in the suburbs. So who was Thomas? Why did my grandmother write a love letter to a man who wasn't my grandfather? I turned the letter over, looking for more clues. There's no return address, no stamp, no postmark. Nothing. This letter was never sent. It stayed in this wooden box for over 70 years, hidden away from everyone. Why did she never send it? Why did she keep it a secret? I look at the other letters in the box. There are 12 of them in total, all addressed to Thomas, all unsent. I read them all, one by one, sitting there on the dusty floor as the afternoon sun slowly moves across the attic window. Each letter tells a different part of their story. They met in 1942 at a summer dance. He was a young soldier about to be deployed. She was a nurse in training. They danced to a song I don't recognize, something slow and romantic. He told her she had the most beautiful eyes he had ever seen. She told him he was the bravest man she had ever met. They fell in love quickly, like people do in times of war, when every moment feels like it could be your last. But then he was sent to fight in Europe, and she never heard from him again. She wrote him letters for 2 years, hoping, praying, waiting for a reply that never came. And then the war ended, and she waited some more. She waited for months, checking the mailbox every single day. But Thomas never came back. So she married Richard, a good and kind man who gave her stability and safety. She never spoke of Thomas again. She buried those memories in this box and locked them away. I close the box and look at the last letter. It's dated December 1945, a few months after the war ended. The words are written in a different hand, shakier, sadder, as if her hand was trembling while she wrote. It says, "Thomas, I heard from a friend that you survived the war. I heard you came back to this country, but you never looked for me. I waited, Thomas. I waited so long. Every night I dreamed of you walking through that door. But you never came. I don't know why you didn't come. Maybe you found someone else. Maybe you forgot about me. Maybe I was just a memory you left behind. But I had to move on. I'm getting married next week. His name is Richard. He's a good man, kind and patient and steady. He doesn't know about you. Nobody knows about you. This will be my last letter. I will bury these words in this box and never look at them again. But I want you to know that a part of me will always love you. A part of me will always belong to the soldier who danced with me at the summer fair. I hope you are happy. I hope you found someone who makes you smile. Goodbye, my soldier. Goodbye, my love. Eleanor." I feel tears running down my face, big, heavy tears that fall onto the yellow paper and make the ink blur. My grandmother carried this love for her entire life, and nobody ever knew. Not my grandfather, not my mother, not my father, not me. It was her secret, her burden, her beautiful and painful memory. But now that I know, I can't just leave it here. I can't just put the letters back in the box and pretend I never read them. I need to find Thomas. I need to know what happened to him. I need to give him these letters, or at least tell him that my grandmother never forgot him. I start my search that very night. I stay up until 3 in the morning, typing names and dates into my computer. I find old military records, war databases, newspapers from the 1940s, and faded photographs of soldiers in uniform. It's like putting together a puzzle, but every piece is old and broken. It takes me 3 weeks of searching, of calling old archives and sending emails to historical societies. But finally, I find him. Thomas Miller, born in 1920 in a small town called Oak Ridge, enlisted in the Army in 1942, served in Europe until the end of the war, and still alive. He's 98 years old, and he lives in a small town called Maplewood, just 2 hours away from here. I stare at the screen, not believing my eyes. He's alive. After all these years, Thomas is still alive. I don't think twice. The next morning, I get in my car and drive to Maplewood. My heart is beating so fast I can feel it in my throat. The 2 hours feel like an eternity. I keep thinking, what will I say to him? What if he doesn't remember my grandmother? What if this causes him pain instead of joy? What if he slams the door in my face? But I can't turn back now. I have to do this for her. I arrive at a small, cozy house on a quiet street. The house has a white picket fence and a garden full of roses, red and pink and yellow. It looks like the kind of house where happy people live. I park my car and walk to the front door, holding the letters tightly in my hands. My palms are sweaty, and I'm so nervous I can barely breathe. I knock on the door, and I wait. A few seconds pass, then a minute. I knock again, harder this time. Finally, the door opens, and an old man appears. He's tall and thin, with white hair and pale blue eyes that still have light in them. He walks with a wooden cane, but his smile is warm and friendly. He looks at me with curiosity, not recognition. "Can I help you, young lady?" he asks, his voice soft and gentle. I open my mouth, but no words come out. I don't know how to begin. I just hand him the letter, the first one, the one that says, "My dear Thomas," in my grandmother's handwriting. He looks at the envelope, and his face changes. His hands start to tremble as he holds the fragile paper. He reads the letter in silence, his eyes moving slowly across the words. When he finishes, he looks up at me, and I see tears in his eyes. Big, heavy tears that roll down his wrinkled cheeks. Where did you get this?" he whispers, his voice breaking. "My grandmother wrote it," I say. "Her name was Eleanor. She never sent it. She kept it in a box for over 70 years. I found it in her attic after she passed away." He steps back, his hand covering his mouth. "Please," he says, his voice shaking. "Please come in." I follow him into the house. The living room is warm and full of photographs. I see pictures of children, grandchildren, and a woman with kind eyes who must have been his wife. He gestures for me to sit down on a comfortable old sofa. He sits across from me, holding the letter as if it's the most precious thing in the world. "Eleanor," he says, her name like a prayer on his lips. I haven't heard that name in over 70 years. I never thought I would hear it again. He takes a deep breath and tells me the story from his side. "I loved Eleanor more than anything," he says. "She was the most beautiful woman I had ever seen. When I was with her, I felt like I could do anything. But then the war came, and I was sent away. I fought for 3 years, and I thought about her every single day. I wrote her letters too, but I never sent them. I was too scared. I was afraid she had moved on, afraid she had found someone better. When the war ended, I was injured. I couldn't walk properly. I thought I would be a burden to her. I thought she would be better off without me. So I never looked for her. I just let her go." His voice breaks, and he wipes his eyes with the back of his hand. "I married someone else," he continues. "Her name was Martha. She was a good woman, and I loved her too, in a different way. We had a happy life. But I never forgot Eleanor. I always wondered what happened to her. I always wondered if she was happy." I look at him, my own eyes filled with tears. "She never stopped loving you," I say. "She wrote you 12 letters. Every single one is filled with love and longing. She waited for you for years. She never forgot the sunflower you gave her. She kept it in her Bible until the day she died." He closes his eyes, and a single tear falls onto the letter. "She waited for me," he whispers. "All this time she waited for me, and I was too afraid to reach out." I take his hand, and I feel how old and fragile it is, how much life it has lived. "She didn't blame you," I say. "In the last letter, she said she hoped you were happy. She wanted you to find someone who made you smile. She never hated you, Thomas. She loved you until the very end." He doesn't say anything for a long time. He just holds the letter against his chest and cries. I cry too, sitting there in his living room with a stranger who was once my grandmother's greatest love. The photographs on the wall watch us silently, capturing memories from a time I will never know. Before I leave, I ask him one last question. "Do you regret it?" He looks at me with those pale blue eyes, and he smiles through his tears. "Yes," he says, his voice barely a whisper. "Every single day. I regret not looking for her. I regret being too scared. But now I know she forgave me. She wrote those letters not to accuse me, but to remember me. And that means more than any apology. That means she loved me, truly loved me, and nothing can change that. I hug him goodbye, and he hugs me back, his old arms wrapped around me like I'm his own granddaughter. I walk back to my car, my heart heavy but strangely peaceful. When I get home, I take all 12 letters out of the box one last time. I read them all again, each word, each sentence, each confession of love. Then I take them to the fireplace in the living room. I kneel down and strike a match. The flame is small at first, then it grows. I hold the first letter over the fire, and I watch as the yellow paper curls and turns black. One by one, I burn them all. Not because I want to destroy them, but because I want to set them free. I want Eleanor's words to rise up into the sky and finally reach Thomas, wherever he is. I want her love to be released from this box after all these years. The smoke rises and disappears into the night, carrying my grandmother's secrets with it. I look up at the stars and I whisper, I hope you're together now. I hope you finally found each other. And I smile because I know that somewhere beyond the sky, my grandmother is finally at peace. She loved, she lost, and she never stopped believing. And that, I think, is the most beautiful thing a person can do. The end. Did you like this story? Subscribe to learn English with more stories. Comment below. What would you do if you found a secret letter? Like and share if this story touched your heart. See you in the next story.